Please get into rows of 4. You need to be in rows of 4. 4 across. Make sure you're 4 across. The school has it down. Good job, everybody. Rows of 4. Make sure you're in rows of 4. The nurses.
Exercises adjourned.
Thank you. It is my pleasure now to introduce City Councilor William.
But maybe you had a better sense of direction than I did. I remember confusing Dugan Hall with Durgan Hall. Then I mixed up Olney and Olsen, and I simply had no idea about that other cluster of buildings up north. In time, I got acquainted with my surroundings and my peers. I quickly learned what makes this university great. In my classes and on campus, I've met students who are from here in Massachusetts, from across the country, and from around the world. I've met transfer students after attending one or two other schools, finally found their fit here. I've met veterans who came home from service overseas and came home to UMass Lowell. And I've met returning students of all ages starting a new chapter in their lives. We each set out on that first day of classes with graduation day as our goal. Along the way, we joined clubs, teams, and organizations. Many of us participated in internships, co-ops, conducted research, and presented at symposiums. Some of us studied abroad. I had the opportunity to fulfill my childhood dream of traveling to Queen's University, Belfast, Northern Ireland. We attended concerts, spring carnivals, and political debates. We river hopped, cheered on our men's hockey team as they soared above Hockey East and onto the frozen floor. We watched our university grow around us in size and prestige, and we knew that we were in the right place at the right time. With our diverse experiences, we've enriched each other's lives, and from many backgrounds, we've forged a community. In doing so, we've prepared one another for the world that awaits us. At UMass Lowell, students are exposed to multiple realities. No two students have the same story. When we share our cultures, our perspectives, and ourselves with each other, we become students of humanity. We may not get a diploma for it, but this education will set us apart when we leave here today. We leave as engineers and nurses, historians and musicians, the educators of the next generation and the innovators of the future. It will be our generation that answers the big questions and solves the toughest problems. We're ready to embrace uncertainty, to find our way, and to make our mark. I leave you with the words of Ralph Waldo Emerson. We are all inventors, each sailing out on a voyage of discovery, guided each by a private chart of which there is no duplicate. The world is all gates, all opportunities. Congratulations and good luck, UMass Lowell class of 2013.
but I want to congratulate all of this class, 3,154 strong. Please stand, all of you, so we can applaud your achievement.
Boston Police Department, you oversee the 20th largest enforcement agency in the country and the 3rd largest in New England. As son of Lowell, you previously served as the superintendent of police in this city for 12 years and have a distinguished career of 34 years in law enforcement. You have attended and excelled at a number of institutes and programs, including Harvard University's John F. Kennedy School of Government program for senior government executives, where you received the John B. Pickett Fellowship in Criminal Justice Policy, and the Law Enforcement Executive Development Association program at the FBI Academy in Quantico, Virginia. You have been recognized widely for transforming how police departments in urban centers carry out their work and obtaining remarkable results. The Police Executive Research Forum, the International Association of Chiefs of Police, and the Major Cities Chiefs Association have all acknowledged these successes. Internationally, you have shared your leadership skills and criminal justice expertise in places as far as Singapore, London, Northern Ireland, Jordan, and in Israel. You have demonstrated a commitment to the educational aspect of policing and have exemplified the use of innovative techniques in an ever-changing criminal justice system. In the hours and days after the attacks on American society at the Boston Marathon finish line, you stood as a true definition of leadership in a crisis. Your life journey, level of civic engagement, and your commitment to the safety and protection of others is a compelling example to us all. The University of Massachusetts Lowell is very proud to confer upon you its highest honor, the Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa.
After those attacks. I'm here to tell you that virtually every decision I made from the moment I first learned about the explosions that Monday afternoon was based on the totality of my learned life experiences that have spanned more than 3 decades since I first graduated with my college degree. It was the numerous opportunities I took advantage of to learn from people I worked alongside, or the events that occurred during my career that have become teachable moments in my life. For example, 8 years ago, I had the honor of traveling to London after that city was victimized by the terrorist bombings of the Tube. I met with Metropolitan Police Commissioner Sir Ian Blair. During that meeting, bomb experts from his department brought a copy of the bomb that was used in the Tube to the conference table. They let us see it and see how it worked and understand the devastation that it would cause if it went off. On Monday, April 15th, shortly after 3 p.m., as I stood in the middle of the crisis on Boylston Street, I harkened back to those lessons, remembering conversations about backpack bombs. And as I watched Police Sergeant Chris Conley conduct painstaking and perilous tasks of meticulously examining the hundreds of backpacks and packages left abandoned on Boylston Street after the bombing, I was thankful that I had paid attention to the lessons of London and thankful for the courage of Sergeant Conley and his staff. In 2008, I traveled to Northern Ireland and met with Chief Constable Sir Hugh Ward and asked for insight into managing the threat of terrorism, information that I have included in all of my department's plannings in subsequent years for all the events that we've had in Boston, planning to make them in handy again if the Bruins continue on their path of success, by the way. Last July, I traveled to Amman, Jordan, and met with police chiefs from Israel, Jordan, and Palestine on enhancing security and preventing crime in a changing world. Clearly, we live today in a changing world that truly affects us here at home. But I don't want you to think you have to travel all over the world to learn lessons that can help you shape your decisions for the rest of your life. Mostly, the greatest lessons that can be learned are right here in your own backyard. I spent nearly 30 years of my life working here in Lowell for the Lowell Police Department, and it was here that I learned invaluable lessons about connecting with my community paying attention to the small things that affect people's lives. I worked alongside courageous and dedicated officers who risked their lives for the safety of this community. I learned lessons on the late-night shift about service to the community. I learned lessons in the narcotics unit about tactics and law, and it was the beginning of a lifelong realization that police must do more than simply arrest, produce the most inspirational and heroic of actions, not just by one single person, but by hundreds of them. Heroes like police officer Tom Barrett, who seconds after the explosion saved the life of a victim who was on fire by putting that fire out with his hands. Heroes like Jeff Bowman of Chelmsford, one of your fellow students here at UMass Lowell, who despite losing both of his legs in the explosion, was able to communicate valuable information to investigators. Our heroes like Carlos Arredondo, the man you've seen in the cowboy hat, that helped treat several wounded victims, who lifted Jeff Bowman into a wheelchair and rushed him to medical personnel. Heroes like my colleague, Superintendent Bill Evans, who was by my side less than an hour after running the marathon himself, and then barely slept for days, catching an occasional nap on a cot he set up in his office, because he didn't want to step away from his officers or the operation until the attackers were caught. I learned about how many friends I have out there when the going gets tough. And I want to thanks for the support that I received from leaders like my mayor, Thomas Menino, Governor Deval Patrick, and President Barack Obama, who dedicated all of the services of the United States government to this investigation. Not to mention the legion of brother law enforcement personnel from agencies such as the FBI, the ATF, ICE, the National Guard, the U.S. Attorney's Office, the Attorney General's Office, and our Massachusetts partners, including the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security, Massachusetts State Police, and police departments from Boston and Boston's neighboring towns, including the city of Lowell. I learned about the wonderful stories of the lives of 4 people taken from us. Martin Richard, 8 years old. Lou Lindsay, graduate student at BU. Crystal Campbell, and MIT police officer Sean Collier. Names that must never be forgotten in history. I learned about how giving and generous people can be, not just in the more than $30 million raised for the One Fund, but in the little gestures, like in the case of the waitstaff at the Leonard's Hotel in Boston, which was commandeered for use as our operational command post. All of the staff there took all of the tips they collected during the entire week from the police that were in the hotel and donated them completely to the One Studies to attain advanced degrees here at UMass Lowell. Whether you embark upon a professional career, whether you decide to travel the world, or whether you start a family, you're going to spend the rest of your life learning. And that's not a bad thing. Chancellor Meehan was kind to me in his remarks, but I should note, he also has been one of the people that I was fortunate enough to learn from as my career developed. He was a staunch friend of the Lowell Police Department during my time as superintendent of that police force. And those things that happened here, the increase in personnel, the crime rate that went down, none of that would have been possible had it not been for his vigorous support in the Congress and the funding that came out of Washington during the Clinton years. It was a wonderful time to be a police chief here in this great city. I still have so much more to learn about this world and from everyone I'm surrounded by. And I'm here to announce today that I'm still not done learning the lessons of that Monday afternoon. I'm proud to announce that multiple reviews of the week are about to commence. One of them, a review of all of the city's response services, will be conducted under the leadership of Mayor Tom Menino and his Office of Emergency Management. The other review I can announce today will be a best practice review funded by our colleagues from the Office of Community-Oriented Police Services with the Department of Justice. I fervently hope that each of the reviews will help us learn more about our emergency services and will allow us to better prepare for other large-scale events in the future, although hopefully we'll never have to experience something like that. By now, many of you have heard of the catchphrase, Boston Strong. That emerged as a symbol of strength, not just for the city of Boston, but for everyone impacted by this tragedy. The phrase went viral on social media sites and has subsequently been emblazoned on t-shirts, wristbands, electronic bulletin boards, and just about everywhere. You may also have seen variations of the phrase, such as Watertown Strong for the community when the manhunt ended, or Cochran Strong on behalf of the courageous Cochran family of Lowell who had multiple victims in the attacks. Lately, the phrase has even been applied to our sports teams like Bruin Strong. Many of you know I'm an avid follower of your champion, hockey team here at UMass Lowell, and I know this year all of you with good reason stood Riverhawk strong. I'm here to remind you, and every single one of you, that you are strong. So many of you have overcome hardships in your own lives that have not stopped you on your path to success. They just became another roadblock you had to hurdle to get here today to receive your degree. Uncertainty is a certainty. The next 10 years of your life will be very different from what you expect them to be. But your education prepares you to face the challenges. Hundreds of you attain these degrees while working full-time jobs. Others among you manage to fit in all your classes at the same time as you've been raising a family. This is not an easy road for so many of you. The long hours, late nights, endless term papers, and lecture halls may have come to a close with this chapter of your life. But the personal growth all of you have experienced during your time here at UMass Lowell has only served to make you stronger as a person. You can all proclaim that I am strong because indeed you are. I am confident that given the chance, all of you are capable of achieving greatness. So many of the nearly 80,000 alumni of this university are scattered to the four corners of the world, but many of them continue to give back to the place where they got their start. And they stand UMass Lowell strong. I hope you too will find a way to continue to give back to this university and to your community. In closing, I would like to again thank President Corrett, Chairman Thomas,
Rudy Baez, Kenneth Montgomery, Brian Piano, James Mento, Gianni Pelzoni, Kara Lynn Ford, Eric Thiel, Vanessa Kent, Justin Kopet, Jessica Lynch, Gia O'Connor, Eric Peary, Indira Pisanduloma, Aaron Webster, Owen Welch. Congratulations.
Seth Barron,
Brendan McGecker,
Sean David Russell,
Brendan Grabowski,
Lindsay Karen Jeffroy,
Nanchase Leon,
Chantel Louise Desjardins,
Teresa Nguyen,
and so hearing that was kind of got me choked up because I thought of how difficult it was for her to find the first responders who had helped her get to treatment. And so I think it meant more than it would have if I had graduated a year ago or something. And it definitely was a different kind of connection than I think some other students might have felt.
Is there anything that you said that kind of resonated with you? Like you was talking about how these experiences led up to.
I think the one that probably resonates with me the most was the fact that you might not realize what you've learned at the time until you need it. And so I was trying to think back on my classes and some of the experiences I've had. I have no idea how they're going to affect me in life later on. 10 years from now, I might remember a particular topic in one of my classes that otherwise would have completely passed my attention. But you really do absorb more than you realize at the time.
I thought it was good. The part about how we haven't stopped learning, I thought was pretty important. Because most people think of this is the end, but it's really just the beginning. Yeah. I guess other than that, nothing in particular. It was a good speech overall, I guess.